cooking up some healthy holiday recipes for you and your family. We'll also have the latest news and wellness trends. Again, that's a very special extended 90-minute Be Well Live show coming up for you Wednesday at 10 o'clock on Bakersfield.com. We'll see you then.
Now, from the Dignity Health Studio at the Bakersfield Californian, it's time to open up with Bob and Marcy, a great pair on the air.
A great pair on the air indeed. Welcome to Dignity Health Studios. It's Open Up with Don and Tina's replacements today, Bob and Marcy. Good morning, Marcy.
Good morning, Bob. It's so great to be here.
Oh, it's awesome to be here.
This is our first show together, and it is going to be epic.
I would say epic is a good word. I would encourage everyone to put down the 5th cup of coffee because you won't need it after this hour.
Right? Absolutely. Well, we have a jam-packed show today. In our first segment, we're going to be interviewing Dr. Allen. Dr. Allen is back by popular demand, which is absolutely wonderful. We have some really intense questions for him to be able to talk about what his patients are doing, what we're doing in the community, etc. So, and then for segment two,
we've got Dr. David Go, who is one of the great men of this region. We're going to have a wonderful time talking about his history and what he sees for our region. After that, we'll have both Dr. Go and Juan Avila, who will be here from Garden Pathways, talking about their impact on the community.
A wonderful organization, absolutely wonderful. I'm really excited for that interview.
Yep.
But to be quite honest, the most exciting part about this interview is going to be our fourth segment, where I actually have the pleasure of interviewing Bob. Bob is really involved in our community, especially during the holidays, and I can't wait for our listeners to hear about what you do in general, and also what you do in the community during the holiday seasons. So let's get started.
Well, let it be.
Okay, Dr. Allen, thank you so very much for coming back and spending your morning with us. Now, real quick, for the listeners who were not with us the first time you were on the show, give us just a short synopsis of what you do and why you do it.
My name is Dr. Allen, and I'm a naturopathic doctor. And I help people with any sort of health issues. People come into our clinic and they ask me questions, and I give them the information that I have, and then they get good results.
Wonderful. Wonderful. If you want to get up closer to the microphone, that way all of our listening and viewing audience can hear you just wonderful.
Okay.
So, being a natural doctor, what are your patients like? I mean, what do you see coming in across the Bakersfield area?
Well, it reminds me of back in 1936, there was a famous doctor down in Southern California, and he had a ranch. And the people would come in wheelchairs and on gurneys and stretchers to his ranch. The doctors had given up on him. They said, there's nothing we can do to help him in any way. Go ahead and take him home and just let him pass away peacefully. They would come to his ranch. He would put them on a water fast the first day, juice fast the second day, fruit the next day, and by the end of the week, they were out helping him in his garden.
Praise the Lord.
Yes.
I mean, I have done juice fasts myself, and they're amazing. Totally revitalizing to the body. Tons of energy afterwards. Do you work on any other healing levels besides the physical level with your patients? Maybe mental, spiritual?
All spiritual and a little bit of physical.
Wonderful. So if I'm a patient, I'm coming in to see you, and I have something that's a little more stereotypical, maybe some allergies. We're in the valley. We have tons of allergies, some back pain. What is the process that you take them through? How have you helped people like that in the past?
Well, of course, I don't do any of the work. I just pray and ask the Lord what to do. He gives me the information. I write it down for the people. And then if they choose to do it, it's their choice. Everybody that comes in, we get 10 or 20 a day that have allergies and back pain. And that can only come from either the atmosphere or something they ate. If it's something they ate, it gets in their bloodstream, and that dirty blood That thick, dirty blood cannot get to the brain, and they're going to have a headache. The minute they stop eating that processed food, the blood gets clean and the headache goes away. And usually it takes 3 or 4 days. The same with the back pain. The kidneys have to filter that blood. They have to filter our water. They have to filter the food that we eat that gets into the bloodstream. And the poor kidneys get overwhelmed. So everybody comes in with a rash. Well, the skin is the third kidney. So the minute they get a rash, we know, the kidney is not able to filter something they ate. So we start asking them questions. And the first question I ask them is, do you know who Jesus is? And most of them say, oh, absolutely. Well, did you know that he died on the cross so you don't have to go through this? And they say, well, no, I didn't know that. Well, that's what he did. We don't have to go through this. There's a very famous pastor once that wrote that if everybody would trust God, just like Jesus said, trust in God, and if they ate God's perfect diet, his good food, the organic food that God gave us, the doctors would have to find a new career because there would be no sick people. Clean blood, they have a healthy, perfect body.
So in preparation for this interview, I actually interviewed a couple of my friends and family and saying, if you had the opportunity to go to a natural doctor, what would you ask? What are the type of things that you'd be interested in learning about? And probably across the board, which I'm sure our viewing audience has the same type of question, is he going to make me change my diet? I mean, people love what they eat. And so how do you talk to people about the possibility of changing their diet?
Well, if you stop and think about it, every person that comes in our clinic and get well and come back to say how thankful they are that the Lord healed them, when you ask them what they did, they said, I didn't change my diet. I changed the food. So if you put out in front of people a loaf of bread that's from God, or a loaf of bread that has wheat, corn, and soy that has Roundup in it, and everybody knows what Roundup is, which would they choose? Well, Japan and Korea have said, we're not buying any more wheat from America because they've contaminated it with the GMOs. Now, if the Japanese people and the Korean people and the European people are smart enough to say, this is not healthy for us, we don't want it anymore, we're not going to buy it anymore, why do the Americans continue to buy it? Why do they continue to eat it? Why do they enjoy the way they suffer? It's amazing.
It is quite amazing, but a lot of the foods that we're eating have addictive properties too. Is there anything that you have done in the past to help your patients get rid of addictive foods in their diet and try to clean up? So if someone's listening today and they might not have symptoms bad enough to go and see you, but they want to clean up their diet, what's the first piece of advice that you would give them?
Well, the first thing we got to do is ask them what they are eating and show them this is your natural choices. And obviously it's their choice. If they say, well, I really enjoy what I'm eating, once they switch and get the natural, they say, you know what, this is even better. And I feel better.
That's really awesome. So we live in a society that is an instant gratification society. I've got a headache, I'm going to pop a pill.
Yeah.
I've got a stomach ache, I'm going to drink some pink stuff to make it go away. If I don't feel good, I'm going to call my doctor and they're going to fix everything. So what do you tell your patients, and what type of patients have you come across as far as the timing of healing and being able to explain to people that it is a longer process healing through diet, or is it about the same amount of time?
Actually, it's a lot faster.
Oh, good.
Because have you ever known anybody that went to a medical doctor and did get healing? No.
Well, they cover up symptoms.
They do. They hide the symptoms. But most people come back and say, I still don't feel good. And then I ask the Lord, okay, what date is this going to happen? And when he tells me, I tell him, write it on your calendar. And they'll come back and tell me, you know what, on that date, I had no symptoms whatsoever. There was no evidence of any of these things anymore. But to make sure, they said, I went back to my doctor and he couldn't find anything. So see, that proves to me that God does the healing, but they have to obey and they have to eat God's food, not man's processed food.
What healing philosophies do you use?
Just what the Bible says. In Ezekiel 47, he says, I give you everything you need for your food and your healing. If you eat God's good food, your body will heal itself. And that's how simple it is. And that's my main thing, my main philosophy.
Yeah, because if you think about it, like when you scratch yourself, your body heals itself. It scabs over,
Sure.
It
heals
does.
itself, and so there are certain things. Now, is there anything else that you would like to tell us about your patients? Anything, a success story?
Oh, lots of them.
Really?
You
Tell
don't-
us
your
one
show isn't long
success story. Well, tell us one success story that really stands out in your mind.
Well, there's several of them, but one quick one. This lady came in. She was an older lady, and she came from Mexico. We get a lot of people from Mexico and South America. And I think she came from Honduras. And her children brought her in, and they translated. And they said, my mom is very, very sick, and the doctor has put her on all these medications since she comes to America. And so I asked her, well, how many children have you had? Some of them have had 13 children.
Oh my goodness.
But they are so healthy. But the minute they come to America and start eating the American food, they don't feel good. They go to the doctor. The doctor prescribes. He's taught. This is what he's taught to do. So he's only doing his job to give them these medications. And then from there, they get worse and worse and worse. One man was so bad, his daughter helped him in. He could not walk anymore. They helped him in. He couldn't wear his favorite boots. His feet were so swollen. He was, the doctor said he was diabetic for, I forget how long, 10 years or something. He was on dialysis. They didn't give him very long to live. He didn't feel good. He couldn't do anything anymore. He couldn't sleep. And so I just asked the Lord, what do we do? Because I don't have any answers. And whatever the Lord told him to do, I wrote it all down, and he says, I'm going to do it. The next day, he was supposed to go to dialysis. And he walked in the door. He handed back all the medication. He says, I'm not coming back. And they said, you'll be dead in 2 days. A week later, he comes walking in. He says, I'm wearing my favorite boots.
Praise the Lord. Dr. Allen, thank you so much for
Thank you.
being with us today. We
Thank you.
really appreciate your insight and your information. And we will be back shortly with Dr. Go.
Yes.
And so stay tuned.
We get discounts for having our homeowners and our vehicle insured with them.
When we get a multiple car discount for having, and we also have a security system. We get a discount for having that.
We put our house and our cars together and our trailer.
We get the discount for not having car accidents.
We've been very happy, very satisfied with the discount rate that they give to us.
Low rates with the local advantage. That's Personal Express.
Introducing TBC Mobile from the Bakersfield Californian. The most complete news, sports, weather, video, opinion, and lifestyle coverage in Bakersfield and Kern County. It's the easiest way to stay up to date on all things local while on the go. Read it on your smartphone or tablet. Download now by searching Bakersfield Californian in the Apple, Google, and Amazon app stores.
Hi, Corey Costello here, host of Roadrunner Rundown here on Bakersfield.com. Join us this week as we talk student-athlete academics with Dina Freeman-Patton, one of the newcomers on the Bakersfield staff. Also, we'll talk women's basketball as they get ready for their home opener on Wednesday with head coach Greg McCall, and all the highlights from around the Western Athletic Conference action, men's soccer, volleyball, men's basketball. We'll have it all for you this week, Tuesday, 10 a.m. right here on Bakersfield.com.
Save 50 to 90% with the Bakersfield Californians Daily Deal featured on Bakersfield.com. A daily deal is offered each weekday on services from local restaurants, dry cleaners, health and beauty services, retail shops, and local activities for the entire family. The daily deal is 100% local. Find these amazing deals only at dailydeal.bakersfield.com.
Every morning, I get to come to work here. We talk about the news, we talk about the community, and most importantly, we have fun. You can listen to us live every morning from 7 to 10 on News Talk 1180 KERN, but you can also watch the video live at Bakersfield.com. You can't miss us because you can watch or listen live on your mobile device. Join us from 7 to 10 a.m. weekday mornings right here at News Talk 1180 KERN or at Bakersfield.com. Come have fun with us.
And we are back. We are back with our special guest, Dr. David Go, one of my dearest friends in this region. And a little bit about David. David is the senior pastor of the Garden Community Church here in Bakersfield. It's a church that's been around in several incarnations since the early 60s. And he is also the founder of both Garden Pathways and Kern Leadership Alliance. And it's a real pleasure to have you in the studio today, David.
Bob, it's good to be here, Marcy. I'm slightly disturbed by the Oregon Ducks Cup pronouncedly placed as product placement on a show I was invited to be in as an avid supporter of the USC Trojans, but I think we're here probably for other things to discuss.
We probably are, although I need to let you know that I'm a big USC fan this week because my Oregon Ducks need some help. And
Your Oregon Ducks are not doing so well.
How does it go? Does it go like this? Is that it? Am I doing it right?
You need more elbow.
More elbow.
momentum.
Okay. Oh, okay. Fight on.
Yeah.
Anyway. Well, David, thanks again for joining us. Now, you moved here when you were young with your parents. Born in India?
Yeah, Bob, I was brought here against my will in 1962.
Aren't we all?
Having been born in India, moved to London when I was 2 and then been here since I was 4 as my parents came here.
Okay. And when you got here, there was a fairly thriving Chinese-American community. And obviously, I would think that your family was a part of that. Have you witnessed what kind of changes have you seen over the years with that community?
You know, the consistency within the Chinese or the Asian community is really the value system of family, the belief that dedication results in opportunity, and also the conviction that I'm not living for my generation. I'm always living to provide a better quality of life, a greater opportunity for the families that are ahead. The focus of employment has changed, and that's probably the major difference is that when we first arrived, a lot of the families were associated with food production, either on the agricultural level, grocery stores, and then now so many Asians in our community are in medical profession and technologies, in other forms of leadership. So from generation to generation, you actually see a success in what is in the heart of a lot of Asian families, is that their children would have a better life than they experienced.
Yeah, oh, that's awesome. And I know that to be true of you. You've been in Kern County since the early 60s. What impactful changes have you seen in this region, both good and bad?
I was thinking how, in some ways, Kern County got left behind. It did not make the technological evolution in which it didn't develop its own tech center. It didn't develop other opportunities that have been available for communities. But in the same way, that being left behind has left it with some very basic community values, which I think are hard to find in other communities. There's a lot of people here who actually just love this community, aren't simply here as a stopping point, but really plan to put their roots down in this community and are generations deep. So that's a bit of a double-edged sword, is in staying isolated in some ways. We've been left out, but at the same time in being isolated, we have actually preserved a lot of the things that for people like us make Bakersfield a great place to live.
Right. Now, you studied abroad for several years. You actually got your doctorate at Durham University in England, is that correct?
That's correct, Bob.
And how long were you there?
My wife and I were there for about 3.5 years.
3.5 years. What brought you back to Bakersfield?
that overcame the vow of never coming back to Bakersfield.
The heat brought him
Did you
back.
make that vow?
Yes, I had planned never to return.
You know,
except
everyone
on
comes
Thanksgiving
back.
and Christmas. Yeah.
Everyone comes back.
That's right.
It's the weirdest thing. It's such an anomaly about the Kern County area is you can go away and you went far. I mean, all the way to England, and it doesn't matter. You're going to come back.
That seems to be part of the plan. And I actually came back to Bakersfield because I felt a sense that this community had the opportunity to do something historic. And part of what's important in my value system is to live a life that has value beyond just myself and my own happiness. And so that sense of, can we actually shift the direction of history? Can we actually make an impact to truly transform something larger than ourselves? There was a sense that Bakersfield would do that if we had enough stakeholders that would come in and say, really, this is my final assignment. I've been assigned here by the Lord to contribute in one way or the other to see what He wants accomplished here. I think Bakersfield is ideal in a mid-sized city, is that you can actually launch different ventures, and it's actually an appropriate test ground because it's large enough. At the same time, it's confined enough that you can actually complete a study. You're not in like a multi-million population urban center in which it's the problems are so vast and complex that it's almost hard to develop a workable strategy that's comprehensive.
Now, this mandate that you feel for the city, the final assignment, was this part of the motivation for you in going forward with Garden Pathways and Kern Leadership Alliance? And can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I don't believe that we can truly have a quality of life unless we care for those who have the least quality of life. And I believe that the key to transforming communities is you have to have people who desire something greater than influence or power. You have to have people who desire to express love above all. That is in abundance in this community, in politics, in business, in nonprofits, in education. I find people that have an amazing conviction that their life should be more about their personal acquisition of power or wealth, that somehow there's got to be a way that their life makes a change or a difference. My experience with Garden Pathways was really being a downtown pastor, and in those early years back in '87 when I first returned to Bakersfield, I was the only one working in a building in downtown right across Hall's Ambulance. And 2 or 3 times, it seemed a day almost, there would be a knock at the door and a family would be seeking an immediate sort of assistance, either food or a bus ticket. And at that point, the best we knew how to do is I had a book of McDonald's coupons, and I would take them that as a way of just alleviating temporarily an immediate need. And I would walk back to my office and I would just feel such a prayer come up from my heart. Lord, there must be a better way to actually address the systems that sustain poverty and show us that way forward. And that's what led to meeting people who really focus on mentoring. I believe in the value of government agencies choosing to help our communities, but in the end, really lives are transformed by one-on-one relationships. And that's what Garden Pathways has focused on, is in the context of best practices and tried approaches. They really mobilize the community to spend an hour a week with somebody who's trying to make a life transition and have seen remarkable results.
Marcy, I cannot even tell you how in love I am with that answer.
No.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, no, I hear you.
What a good
I
answer.
feel inspired
Oh,
to do
don't you?
something now.
All right, so speaking of inspired, and we've got about 2.5 minutes. Who inspires you, David Go?
Obviously, my mom and my dad have been incredible influences of people who put God first and had everything good added to them. They live, and my dad continues to live, just a joyful, peaceful life that matters. For me, probably one of the great historic figures that has inspired me is Dr. Martin Luther King and his works, and how he combined a passion for change, courage to lead, with a great intellectual vigor to try to think through what would bring change. And so he's a figure that I think we need to see as much as a spiritual leader as simply a civil rights leader. I believe that he was speaking the heart of God for our nation in what he was doing. And that's a key inspiration for me.
And knowing you like I do, Dr. David T. Go, I'm surprised you didn't say Bono.
Well, there is
What?
that song, Sunday morning, April 4th, shot rings out in an empty sky, free at last. We could not
I
take
know
our
it,
pride.
and it all dovetails,
That's
doesn't
right.
it?
It all makes together. If only Bruce Coburn, the Canadian guitarist,
don't get me
Leftist
started.
Christian, had sung a song about Dr. King, our lives would then be complete.
They would be, wouldn't they? They would be. Well, David, we appreciate the time that you've taken to be with us today, and we're going to actually ask you to join us in the next segment, if that's okay.
Which
Well,
is
Marcy,
wonderful.
thank you.
No problem. Thank you. I'd like to give a special shout out to all of our listeners in Seattle today. That's where Dawn and Tina are.
Oh, that's right.
And we hope you're listening. We hope we're making you proud, which we know we are. But join us next when we have Dr. Go and
Juan Avila
Juan Avila.
from Garden Pathways. So we'll be right back.
Bakersfield Life magazine is a monthly lifestyle publication that features local people, places, and businesses. It is available to be read on bakersfieldlife.com and publishes the last Saturday of the month with many convenient pickup locations. Find us online on Facebook or Twitter, as well as bakersfieldlife.com.
Current Business Journal contains news and information from local business leaders and organizations. Topics include agriculture, health and medical, energy, real estate, and more. Visit currentbusinessjournal.com to find out how to subscribe or where to pick up a free copy. To inquire about advertising in the bi-monthly Business Journal, call 395-7586. Find us online on Facebook and Twitter, as well as on currentbusinessjournal.com.
I'm Lisa Kirsch, host of Be Well Live. Coming up on Wednesday, we have a very special 90-minute show for you. It's a Thanksgiving Be Well Live show. Chef Robert from the Petroleum Club will be joining us here live in studio, cooking up some healthy holiday recipes for you and your family. We'll also have the latest news and wellness trends. Again, that's a very special, extended 90-minute Be Well Live show coming up for you Wednesday at 10 o'clock on Bakersfield.com. We'll see you then.
Save 50 to 90% with the Bakersfield Californians Daily Deal featured on Bakersfield.com. A daily deal is offered each weekday on services from local restaurants, dry cleaners, health and beauty services, retail shops, and local activities for the entire family. The daily deal is 100% local. Find these amazing deals only at dailydeal.bakersfield.com.
Every morning, I get to come to work here. We talk about the news, we talk about the community, and most importantly, we have fun. You can listen to us live every morning from 7 to 10 on News Talk 1180 KERN, but you can also watch the video live at Bakersfield.com. You can't miss us because you can watch or listen live on your mobile device. Join us from 7 to 10 a.m. weekday mornings right here at News Talk 1180 KERN or at Bakersfield.com. Come have fun with us.
Welcome back to Open Up with Dawn and Tina, with your guest hosts today, Bob and Marcy. We're back again with Dr. David Go, and we've also got Juan Avila from Garden Pathways who will be joining us in just a moment. But I want to talk for a moment, David, about Kern Leadership Alliance, which, correct me if I'm wrong, this is an organization that brings together faith-based groups with businesses and government. Is that a fair assessment?
That's a good way to describe it, Bob. The goal of Kern Leadership Alliance is to recognize the power of collaboration. And when we look at situations that exist in at-risk or communities, at-risk communities or communities marked by poverty, we all realize that there is no single solution that can transform their lives. There's no single church, there's no single government agency. It really takes a team approach to do that, all the way from internal change to creating economic opportunity and jobs, safe neighborhoods. It really does take partnership. Kern Leadership Alliance really attempts to envision every follower of Christ that they are in full-time ministry where they work and where they live, and where they are placed within the domain of influence that they're a part of. They can work to bring collaborative partnership to solve some of the most pressing needs of our community.
Okay. In the past, you've had worked with people like Shannon Grove and Kevin McCarthy. What are your thoughts on religious organizations entering the political arena?
I think that there's a difference between religious organizations entering and people of faith entering. I think that if you're simply a citizen of these United States of America, you owe it to this country to participate, no matter what faith you're you hold to, and no matter what your particular assignment is. So if you are a politician, then you must find a way to express your faith within the value system and what you seek to accomplish. But part of that faith is love. And so the tone that is so hostile and polarizing and spins people to different corners, I find that to be very unhelpful within the current political climate. But you do have people who are willing to put their love for a community ahead of what might be politically expedient, and those are the people who I really believe can transform a community. I had a great conversation last night with Tony Martinez, who he and his wife Elva have been very, very involved with the Democratic Party here, and finding people of absolute connection of heart in terms of what they feel they should do. So I believe that we need, in an alliance, in a community, those from all political points of view to engage and try to accomplish something for the good of the community.
Outstanding. Marcy, once again, I'm in love with the answer.
I know.
I just really like it.
I do too.
So let's transition over to Mr. Juan Avila. Juan is the Director of Community and Client Services for Garden Pathways. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background?
Well, hello first to Bob and Marcy.
Hello,
it's a pleasure
Juan.
to be here. I'm born and raised here in Bakersfield. My parents are migrant workers. They came from Mexico. My dad has a 6th grade education. My mother has a 3rd grade education. Their primary goal was for their children to be successful. Education was very, very important in our families. We had struggles. You know, we did live in poverty. Didn't know I was poor. But we had the same struggles that a lot of people that live in at-risk communities struggle with. Grew up around the Martin Luther King Park area. Went to Fremont, Chipman, graduated from BHS. I know I don't look past the age of 26, but I graduated in 1994.
Wow.
Ended up going to Cal State Northridge. Started off for engineering, but ended up with a music degree. Thought I was going to go into law, changed my mind, and came back to Bakersfield to get a master's in business. With all the intentions of going back to LA. Just as Dr. Go stated, I didn't want to stay in Bakersfield. But upon graduation, something was telling me, and I really felt the Lord saying, this is your home, and you need to contribute to your home. You need to be a part of the rebuilding of your home before going and rebuilding somebody else's home. And I decided to stay and started working first worked for Clinica Sierra Vista for a while as a case manager. But upon graduation, I worked as an executive director for the Parent Institute for Quality Education, helping parents understand the education system and advocating for their children in schools. Then I ended up working with Kern Community Foundation, working with local philanthropy. Moved from there to work as a field rep for former Supervisor Karen Go in the 5th District. And now I'm with Garden Pathways.
So, with the exception of the time with Karen Go, you have been basically in the nonprofit world for quite some time.
Yes.
What draws you into that? And there must be some passion behind that.
There is. I see a lot of individuals that face difficult challenges and just really needing hope, somebody to believe in them, somebody that's going to encourage them, somebody to see them for who they are and not for what they've decided or the actions that they've taken in the past.
Right.
Really see their true identity. And if we had more people in the community that see them that way, I think we would definitely transform our community. So that's really been a driver. And just seeing my old neighborhoods torn down, transforming the mentality even of our youth and our older young adults, that we should be going back to our neighborhoods and build them up instead of tearing them down.
So I'm hearing, if I'm hearing this correctly, that you're in the business of helping people find out who they are. Tell me how you do that.
So through Garden Pathways, our mission is transforming lives from the inside out through loving, mentoring relationships. And we believe, anybody can go through a program, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to become successful. You really need that one-on-one relationship, somebody that's going to sit with you, talk to you, hear you out, somebody that's going to encourage you, somebody that's going to motivate you, somebody that's going to remind you who you are. And not remind you of your failures, which a lot of these individuals do. So that's really how Garden Pathways does this. We want to connect individuals to loving mentoring relationships, provide them life skills workshops where we can really have deep discussions about why do we see the world the way we see it. For many of the individuals that we work with, the goal is employment. So we also talk about, job readiness and the job search process. Some of them need some training. So we do work with, providing some vocational training through some great partners, which is West Tech. And then constant just contact and constant loving, and really just genuinely loving these individuals till we see them succeed.
Who is the audience? Who are the clients for Garden Pathways? Who are you reaching? Tell me some of the segments of society where Garden Pathways reaches.
Okay, so Garden Pathways serves people that are struggling, and it really it ranges from through our sister agency Flood, those individuals that are struggling with homelessness, individuals that are victims of violence. We work with individuals that are in the welfare system. We work with individuals that have been formerly incarcerated or currently incarcerated. We start developing relationships with them. We at-risk youth, individuals that are currently in gangs or formerly formal gang members. So we work with individuals that just face some very difficult challenges and are trying to get back on their feet.
Oh, I love that. And your role at Garden Pathways?
So as Director of Community and County Services, my roles vary, but they range from assisting with grant writing, assisting with program development, especially for the ex-offender programs, because we also provide batterer intervention programs for perpetrators of domestic violence. And I also do some of the groundwork, and that's what I really, really enjoy is working individually with our clients and facilitating some of the workshops, mentoring some of them, speaking to them, speaking life into them as well.
Dr. Go, as the founder, the primary founder of Garden Pathways, what do you hope the legacy of this organization might be down the road?
What I believe the legacy should be is the children of current clients, that their lives face a completely different future because it's been built on a restored foundation, that their parents don't give into violence, their parents don't give into hopelessness, that their parents have reached self-sufficiency or modeled for them the attempt to have moved towards that goal. So they produce an entire different generation of citizens for our community, and that they then in turn give back to a third generation. Bob, for me, this all stems from my faith because the conviction I faced was Jesus stood up in the first sermon he preached. He said, God's Spirit is upon me because he's anointed me. And then we leave the last phrase out, to preach good news to the poor. And I did not know how I could claim to be someone who was empowered by God's Spirit if I did not turn my heart first towards those that were most in need. I would hope that one of the impacts of Garden Pathways is also a church community that has as one of their top priorities transforming the lives of those that are in poverty and at risk.
Juan, with about 1 minute to go, so a short answer, what can our community do to help you at Garden Pathways?
Become a mentor, especially for these men that probably that did not grow up with a father figure in the home. You know, Bakersfield, I feel like there's a lot of fatherless individuals, and not only young individuals, but adults that were fatherless and were never modeled positive masculine behavior. And if we can get more men that can speak life into these other men and show them how to be good fathers, good husbands, good brothers, good sons, and good members of our community, I think we'd definitely be able to transform this community.
Fantastic. If they want to contact you, what is the phone number?
It's area code 661-633-9133.
And it's gardenpathways.org?
Yes.
gardenpathways.org. And I encourage all of you to get involved. This is a wonderful organization that literally shifts the lives of those in our community. And this is an organization that we're very proud of. David, Juan, thank you so much for coming today. It was a real pleasure.
Yes, thank you. I'm completely inspired.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, thank you. The pleasure
Okay, we'll be right back.
Introducing TBC Mobile from the Bakersfield Californian. The most complete news, sports, weather, video, opinion, and lifestyle coverage in Bakersfield and Kern County. It's the easiest way to stay up to date on all things local while on the go. Read it on your smartphone or tablet. Download now by searching Bakersfield Californian in the Apple, Google, and Amazon app stores. Kern Business Journal contains news and information from local business leaders and organizations. Topics include agriculture, health and medical, energy, real estate, and more. Visit KernBusinessJournal.com to find out how to subscribe or where to pick up a free copy. To inquire about advertising in the bi-monthly Business Journal, call 395-7586. Find us online on Facebook and Twitter, as well as on KernBusinessJournal.com.
I'm Lisa Kirsch, host of Be Well Live. Coming up on Wednesday, we have a very special 90-minute show for you. It's a Thanksgiving Be Well Live show. Chef Robert from the Petroleum Club will be joining us here live in studio, cooking up some healthy holiday recipes for you and your family. We'll also have the latest news and wellness trends. Again, that's a very special, extended 90-minute Be Well Live show coming up for you Wednesday at 10 o'clock on Bakersfield.com. We'll see you then.
Save 50 to 90% with the Bakersfield Californians Daily Deal featured on Bakersfield.com. A daily deal is offered each weekday on services from local restaurants, dry cleaners, health and beauty services, retail shops, and local activities for the entire family. The Daily Deal is 100% local. Find these amazing deals only at dailydeal.bakersfield.com.
Every morning, I get to come to work here. We talk about the news, we talk about the community, and most importantly, we have fun. You can listen to us live every morning from 7 to 10 on News Talk 1180 KERN, but you can also watch the video live at Bakersfield.com. You can't miss us because you can watch or listen live on your mobile device. Join us from 7 to 10 a.m. weekday mornings right here at News Talk 1180 KERN or at Bakersfield.com. Come have fun with us.
Welcome back to Open Up. Now it is our time for Words of the Week. Now, this week's guest is extra special to me. It is Doug Anglin. For all of those of you who know Doug Anglin, there is no introduction needed. But for all of those who don't, Doug Anglin is my father and the best father in the world. So take it away, Mr. Anglin.
Marcy, thank you so much. Pleasure being here with both of you. The word for the week is value. Now, everybody appreciates and wants value. If we go to the store, we want the best value for the groceries that we buy. We want to buy as many groceries as we can for the money that we have. If we buy a car, we want the best value. If we have a house for sale, we want to make sure that we might come in and say, you know, I think this house is worth like $250,000. But we need to get someone in that field, an appraiser or whoever, to come in and say, you know, that house is not worth that much. So we want to make sure we get value. And what I have, I've loved this show today, but what I have here is a $5 bill. And this $5 bill, this might sound like a silly question, but it's not, is worth how much? $5. Now, there's a lot of people that we run into every day that don't seem to have a lot of value. We all want it. We all want to feel like we're valued, but they're not. Now, if I took this $5 bill, worth $5, and I crushed it up, and I could throw it on the ground and step on it and get it all dirty, and I would put it back up here, I would say, what is this $5 bill worth? And now, obviously, your answer would be $5. And you're right. But do you get the lesson? And it kind of goes along with the program today. There's a lot of people that have been hurt. There's a lot of people that have experienced things that hopefully some of us will never experience. And through that, they have lost value in their mind. But in God's eyes, do they lose value? No. Because didn't God send his only son to die for us? Yes. We all have value. Now, if this $5 bill had fillings, and I started to uncrumble this $5 bill, would there be a pain associated with that? Yeah, there would be. And it kind of goes along with the show that, you know, Pastor Go and the others know that they're working with people that somehow don't have the value that they want to have. And there's struggles and there's pain in getting back into shape. But, you know, God is with all of us. It is possible. And we need to understand that there might be pain in your life, but eventually it's going to be over because God's coming again. But we all have value. We don't lose value. If you think you did and you think you are not as valued, you are. You are valued in God's eyes. And that's the word for the week. And God bless you.
So now you understand why he was the best father in the world.
My
I was
gosh,
able to grow up with.
That is 100% a good word for the new week.
Yes. So I
Wow.
hope everyone, our listening audience, is able to take that and take value in their lives. And thank you, Dad, Mr. Anglin, for being here today. So for my favorite co-host in the world, Bob, you are an entrepreneur.
I
and
am.
You do great things in this community. Tell me a little bit about some of the businesses that you have.
Well, I got bit by the entrepreneurial bug years ago, and a current business that I have is it's called Stars on Hold. And actually, Don Clark is a partner in that business. We find celebrities to answer the phones for businesses across the country. And Chris, if we've got that audio clip, I'd like to play something that we did with Betty White. And I think you'll get a little bit of a kick out of it.
Well, hello there, and thanks for calling Victoria's Secret. One of these nice young people will be on the phone to help you in just a moment. Yes, it's Betty White here. Are you one of those gals who's trying to bring sexy back, but you lost your receipt? Well, trust me, that happens. That's why I came into the store today to see what's new in sexy fashion. And based on some of the stuff I'm seeing, I gotta tell you, Victoria doesn't have many secrets left. No kidding. But it's also no secret that it's a great idea to come into Victoria's Secret or visit them online and treat yourself to their luxurious line of bras, panties, sleepwear, and so much more. Take it from me, your gal pal, Betty White. When you shop at Victoria's Secret, you won't be bringing sexy back. You'll be taking it home. Hang in there. Here comes one of Victoria's friends to answer all your questions.
Okay, that was awesome.
Okay, so that's what we do.
That was so much fun. I was not I didn't know for the viewing
Really?
audience. That was the first time I've heard that too, and that I was not expecting her to bring sexy back.
Well,
That's awesome.
It was interesting. We when we had her in the studio, she was not comfortable with that spot. She started to read it, and she's hard of hearing, so I literally had to go into the booth with her. I was turning the pages, and it came to that, and she started to read it, and she went, "Oh, Bob, I don't know," and. I just started laughing. I said, "Betty, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do." And she said, "Well, I'll do it, but we'll see whether or not you can sell it." Well, we haven't sold it yet, but we're still working on it. But that's one of the businesses we have, and we actually do things locally with, of course, Betty doesn't do any of the local stuff, but we have people like Don Clark and Steve Gradowitz and Ann Kelly and some local voices that are fairly well known. So that's what we do here in the city. We answer phones for people.
That's so much fun. When I first met Bob, I asked if I could be one of his famous voices, and he told me no. So
maybe one day, maybe after today.
There is quite an interview process that goes forth with becoming a famous voice. Okay, so you're very involved with our community.
I love this city. I can't begin to tell you the emotions that I feel for this region. It's
Tell us about what you do. Tell us about what you're involved in.
well, I do a lot of mentoring. It's funny that we talked about that today. I don't do it through any organization. I just do it. And I'm usually, boy, my place is Mimi's. I'm giving a shout out to my place and all my people down there that know me by name and know where I like to sit and know what I like to eat. And I'm usually there about 5 times a week.
Wow.
It's really interesting because some of the, most of the people that I eat with, they're just looking for someone, as Juan was talking about, to tell them who they are, to reveal who am I, and so when I go, I'm a man of faith, and the Lord speaks to my spirit very clearly, and He told me, He said, there's a rising up of fathers in this city. There's a shift that has taken place in the government of this city. From the systems and the plans of men to the systems and the plans of heaven. And that means the rise of mothers and fathers, because the government of God, Marcy, is family. And so when I take these guys out, it's like, and I've got other people that I've taught to do what I do, and the first thing I ask them is, how tight are you with your money? Mm-hmm. Because in my world, dads always pay. Dads always, my father never let me pay. Mm-hmm. So we walk in, and those are the things that we do. And I have to tell you, lives have been transformed just because they get to sit across the table from someone who loves them. We also go yearly, and I put on a Santa Claus suit.
I was going to say, I became Facebook friends with you last night, and I saw that there was a Santa suit on one of your pictures. What's that all about?
So for the last few years, we have, a small group of us have gone down to Union Avenue, 1 year on Christmas Eve, and then last year, the Saturday before Christmas. And we always have the goal of making it all the way Union Avenue. We usually make it about a block and a half. We go into those motels where the poorest of the poor and the children of some of the poorest people are. And we walk in and we bless them, we hug them, we take pictures with them, we bring them gifts, and a shout out to the United States Marines and the Toys for Tots program, who has been there to help us. Now this year, we're hoping to be involved with the North Kern Prison in Delano. We're in talks with them to have Santa in prison.
Interesting.
Yeah, we want to have, the holidays are a hard time for inmates. And so I just can't imagine, I just can't imagine that it's not the heart of God to bring cheer to these men during the holiday season on a family day, for them to be able to see their children with Santa and having their pictures taken. And, it may not make a difference for a lifetime, although I think it might, but I know it makes a difference for a season.
So if I'm in the community and I want to get involved somehow, either to be able to donate gifts, to be able to donate time, to be able to even go with you,
right?
How do I get involved? How do I get a hold of you?
You can get a hold of me either at my email address, which is bob.prater@starsonhold.com, or you can just call me. It's area code 661-323-8266. I'm at extension 801. Hey, Betty White even answers our phone. So once again, it's 661-323-8266.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, Bob. I mean, such an inspiration. I can't even imagine, going into, poverty. I mean, just to be able to see the joy on children's faces.
It is the greatest gift imaginable to be able to do it.
And one of my dad's words of advice that he's always said is joy means Jesus, others, then you. And
wonderful.
And so it's such a blessing to have you on, and thank you.
Thank you. What an honor it's been to co-host with you today. I can't wait to do it again.
We will soon. Thank you for listening. It's such a pleasure to have all of our viewing audience be a part of our show. If you have any questions, you could always contact us at how do they contact us? We'll get that information next week. But thank you so much.
To be determined.